if we are going to have access to that name and make it effective, we cannot do so outside of this example that have been set. And we are opening up the reason why many of us are not getting result. According to the text we read in Philippians chapter 1, how did Jesus arrive at that name? Because we read that the Father gave him the name, not a name. There's a difference between a name and the name. Say, the Father has given him the name. Philippians 2 from verse 5. Say, and consider the example that Jesus, the anointed one, has set before us. Let his mindset become your motivation. You know, we read in New King James that let this mind be in you. So Jesus has set an example. So consider the example that Jesus, the anointed one, has set before us. Let this mindset become your motivation. So what are the things that should become our motivation? Next verse. He existed in the form of God, yet he gave no thought of seizing equality with God as his supreme prize. Do you get that point? Let's read the lesson. Instead, he emptied himself of his outward glory by reducing himself to the form of a lowly servant. He became human. What he's saying here, he did it by himself. It's not as if he was subjected to his outward glory. He brought it on the inside. You know, while Christ was on earth, he was 100% God and 100% man. Because when he walked on water, that is not in the realm of man. When he raised the dead, that's not in the realm of man. When he spat on the floor and recreated somebody's eyes, that is not in the realm of man. So the divinity is still on the inside of him. But he decided. So Jesus emptied himself of the outward glory by reducing himself. He did this by himself. You know, there is this level of humanity is not found among men. Instead, he emptied himself of his outward glory by reducing himself to the form of a lowly servant. You see, not just servant. This is lowly servant. The word lowly servant here means slave. Because there's a difference between a slave and a servant. A servant can be on paid employment. A slave is the owner of his master. Are you getting the point? Is owned by someone, by his master. Sometimes you hear the word bond servant. It's the same thing as slave. That's the description Paul the apostle usually will use for himself. So this is what Jesus did here. A form of a lowly servant, that is the servant of servants. So in the ranking, he is down. Everybody step on him. He became human. Next verse. You see, we can teach fruit of the Spirit from here. Because these are not things that are natural with men. He humbled himself and became what? Vulnerable. How can someone who created the universe is vulnerable? Chosen to be revealed as a man and was obedient. He was a perfect example. Even in his death, a criminal's death by crucifixion. He went down to the rung of the ladder. If you understand the death of the cross, we have explained that. He died like a criminal, even though he was not one. Next verse. That's the example you and I must follow if we want to arrive at the name. Because of that obedience, because of that, God exalted him and multiplied his greatness. he has now been given the greatest of all names. The authority, you see, of that name of Jesus causes every knee to bow in reference. Everything and everyone will one day submit to this name in the heavenly realm, in the earthly realm, and in the demonic realm.